Alright guys, my name is Goblin, and today we're going to be discussing the Naxxramas release date, which was announced last night, and one of the huge issues that will come with this particular release date. So if you don't know, release date is obviously December the 1st. Well, that's for the patch anyway, when the Scourge invasion will start, and then the raid itself will release on all regions on the 3rd of December. But here's the issue guys, the new expansion, Shadowlands for retail, a whole new, brand new, fresh and exciting expansion is releasing on the 23rd of November, and the new raid and the PvP season is releasing on December 8th, just 5 days after Naxxramas is releasing. And this is where the issue lies, because I think very imminently there is going to be a fairly severe population drop for Classic WoW, because Shadowlands will dominate the traffic of players. Okay, there's a few people who are playing Classic right now who haven't played retail for years who want to try out the new expansion. There are a number of people who play Classic who both play both versions of the game and will simply not be able to continue to play both versions of the game because of the time investment that Shadowlands required, but honestly mainly because of the time requirement that Naxxramas requires. Naxxramas has a huge time investment. You need to be farming a lot of gold for consumables, you need to be getting your frost resistance gear, etc, etc, and you know, the raid night itself, it's a very big raid to actually get through. Huge time investment, and people will not be able to invest that amount of time if they're also playing Shadowlands. This means the only people left standing are going to be people who absolutely despise retail, like myself, although not so much anymore, and obviously more elitist, hardcore Classic WoW players who are very invested in Classic WoW, which will also have a negative impact on the game, because it may mean the community will become even more elitist, because the casual community will basically get smaller. I wouldn't be surprised if a few guilds disbanded. I've already heard about it happening, that a lot of people, because there's such a large population of particular guilds that are going to play Shadowlands, a lot of them are basically just planning to totally disband or discontinue raiding, and I think what that will cause is less guild options, which means people may have to go into a different guild, and they'll probably only be able to go into, again, a more elitist guild, which obviously may not be their cup of tea, because they will be pushed to the absolute limit to get ready for Naxxramas, which again will probably push people to be more and more tired and bored of Naxxramas and frustrated with the pressure that Naxxramas does put on players, and then push them to go and try out Shadowlands. So there are many different little cogs in this machine to push people to go and play Shadowlands. So overall, I think this release date is very bad news for Classic WoW. What really should have happened is they should be releasing it early January, releasing TBC at the turn of spring. That's what they should have done, but with this particular release date, with the timing of it in relation to Shadowlands, yeah, there's going to be a huge issue when it comes to the Classic WoW community. I can definitely see a population drop off, just like there was in the original vanilla. Not many people actually got to experience Naxxramas, and unfortunately it looks like it's going to be going that way too. I think obviously a lot more people will experience Naxxramas this time round, but I think a lot of people won't be able to, which is a true shame, to be honest. If they released it early January, the raid would have been out. Well, they should release it a month after the new raid that's coming out, Castle, whatever it's called in retail, which is, as it says here, 8th of December. Because basically they should have released it on the 8th of January. Wait for people to become a little bit fatigued of Shadowlands, let them experience the raid, let them have fun, but then also have a little bit of time to go back to playing Classic WoW, or simply get so sick and tired and bored of the game that they actually decide to quit and go totally back to Classic. They needed to allow that to happen, because it would prevent all of the issues that are going to very likely occur with this synchronized release date. In my opinion, the release dates should act in symbiosis of each other, so once there's like a little bit of fatigue with a retail patch, it's been out for 2 to 3 months, then release a new patch for Classic, and then just kind of rinse and repeat that steady release of progressively releasing the content. to maintain players' excitement and hype and investment in the game, because you know, when you get a little bit bored of playing retail, you can go and play classic because you basically got it for free. It's there lying around and you can just go and play it because you're already playing as a sub, which means you can play it whenever you want. You don't have to pay for a new game, you don't need to keep updating the expansions or anything like that. You've already got it for free. I don't want to get too political on the channel because this obviously isn't a politics channel, but I do think this decision, this very obscure release date, is in response to the actual US election, because a certain politician obviously wants to take a more hardcore and vigorous approach to the COVID situation by introducing more strict lockdown measures, which will obviously mean a much more strained and less effective workforce in their Blizzard offices. So this is just my theory, but I just think they're trying to cram as much work in as possible at the Blizzard offices before they potentially could go into some kind of lockdown where their workforce is obviously somewhat restrained and restricted. But anyway, that's just my theory anyway. You could totally disagree with it, but I do think it's a financially informed decision by some kind of accountant, which is normally who takes all the decisions from game developers these days, because they probably obviously want to maintain as much passive income before they could potentially move into a state of obviously having a much slower workforce that is unable to work on content as frequently. Like, for instance, getting out patches for WoW, Overwatch, and all the other games that they obviously have under their belt. But anyway, guys, only time will tell what will actually happen. Although I have talked about a lot of negatives, I do still think there is a very strong big classic WoW community who just absolutely despise retail and don't want anything to do with it, don't even want to try it. So I still think there'll be a decent population on classic WoW when Naxxramas is released, although it may not be as big as we originally expected anyway. On a plus side, this may mean less world PvP chaos while actually trying to get into Naxxramas in the first place. But anyway, guys, my name is Goblin, and until my next video, ciao.